Hey guys, what's up? How you doing today? Welcome back to this YouTube channel. It's your guy Igor here. In today's video, I'm going to give you a guide for international students in Canada. It will help you choose a college, university, a school where you want to study, a city where you're going to be staying, province, and the program that you want to study in Canada. Whether you want to just study here or you want to stay, I think this video is going to be really helpful for you. Number one, are you planning to stay in Canada or are you coming here just for studying? If you're just coming here to study, it's really simple. You just have to go into your education, on your past experience and what you want to get out of Canada. And choose a college. Of course, you have to consider the budget, what you can afford, what you cannot afford, if you're just planning to study here, and then to go back to your home country. But I know that most of you wouldn't be just coming to study here unless you're planning to stay. Majority of the people who are coming here as international students are actually planning to stay here. So if you're one of those people, then you have to identify if you're planning to stay 1 year or 2 years or more. Again, for your study visa, to get your working visa, if you study for 1 year, you can get 1 year of working visa, work permit, open work permit. You can work for any employer. If you study for 2 years, then you get a 3 years work permit and you can work for any employer. So the importance of this call is that what you want to get and what is your budget. You know, you have to consider how much money you can afford, because each year costs X amount of dollars, and you have to make sure if you want to take 2 years to get the 3 years open work permit, then you have to make sure that you have enough money. Now that you have identified whether you want to study here or you want to stay, you have to choose which city you're going to be studying in, because there are many cities in Canada and there are so many schools you can choose from. I want to tell you a general rule. We are not going to go through every single city. General rule is this: bigger cities attract more international students and students in general, which leads to it's more complicated to get a job there, more competition, more people, but at the same time it's more fun to study there. Smaller cities in Canada in general, they improve your chances of getting a good job, and they improve your chances of getting settled there, of course. But it doesn't mean that bigger cities you should exclude them and go for a smaller town. I know many people who succeeded in bigger cities and smaller cities. Of course, I found that those people who were in bigger cities found more challenges to stay in Canada. Another thing that you have to know is the province. Choose the province correctly, because every province has a provincial nominee program and they are all different. Depending on the province where you're going to go, it can be totally different scenario. So make sure if you're planning to stay here, choose the right province so that you have a backup plan, not only the express entry situation, but so that you can go through a provincial PNP program and get your immigration done through that province as international students, because lots of provinces have special things where you can actually get more points and improve your chances of staying there if you studied in that province. Now, of course, if you're not planning to stay in Canada, that wouldn't matter much to you. And if you're planning to work a little bit, you know what, if you're not planning to stay in Canada, then it does not really matter where you choose to stay. I would suggest probably go for a bigger city in this case, because there is more competition. But if you don't need sponsorship and all of those things like provincial programs, then just go where it's more fun to study. Choosing school and universities, guys, where you are planning to stay is an important part of this process. So there are 4 things that you have to consider. Number 1 is, of course, choosing between college or university. Guys, whatever other people are telling you, universities are same as colleges, it's easier to find jobs if you did a college, it's not exactly true. It's always it's always better to have a university degree in Canada, because it's qualified more, it's recognized more, and it's better for your future career. Number 2, of course, you have to consider once again that where you're planning to stay. For example, which province, which city you're planning to stay, and what are the colleges and universities are available there if you're planning to immigrate. If you're not planning to immigrate, And even if you're planning to immigrate, it's of course important to consider number 3. It's which field you want to study, what's your background, where you studied before, and what you're planning to do in future in your career, if it matches your background. And of course the final thing, and it's one of the most, last but not the least important, is the budget, what you can afford. If you can afford the university, if you're planning to stay in Canada or not stay in Canada, I would always recommend to go to university, because it almost guarantees you to get a better job, better employment opportunities, and future prospects in your career. To summarize this short video, guys, for you, we are going back to the beginning. Number 1, are you planning to stay in Canada, or are you, number 2, planning to leave Canada? If you're planning to stay in Canada, there's very many things that you should be considering. Number 1 is 1 year of studying or 2 years of studying. Number 2 is the location of the college. Are you planning to, which province you're planning to go to, which PNP, provincial nominee program, are you planning to use in future to get your immigration done? Are you planning to study for 1 year or 2 years? Guys, to summarize this video for you, we are going back to the beginning. Are you planning to stay in Canada, or are you planning to go back and just get the education here? If you're planning to get the education, focus yourself onto what matters for you, for your future, for your career, which field you're planning to be working on in future, and what you want to achieve in your life. Also check out the budget and any of those popular schools. If you can afford one of those Ivy League schools, then it's awesome, because it actually helps you get more jobs around the world, not only in Canada. It's an amazing country to get your education done, and it's basically recognized all over the world, and you can work in multiple different countries if you like to. If you're planning to stay here, however, you have to consider a few things. If you're planning to stay here, immigration is first, so look at your budget. Then check how many years you're planning to study here. 1 year is 1 year open work permit, 2 years is 3 years open work permit. So check your budget, if you can afford college or university. If you can afford going to a university, I would always encourage you to go to university, because education does matter here. And university gives you a better guarantee of getting a better job, guys. And it's more recognized, because I talk to people here. I worked here for many years now, and I know that university degrees are more important. Of course, choose the location wisely. If you're planning not only to get an education, you're planning to stay here, and if you don't want to be limiting your abilities to stay here through express entry, consider the province where you want to do your education. For example, Alberta has this express recruit, I forgot the name of that program. Basically, strategic recruitment. It is strategic recruitment for people who studied in Alberta and planning to immigrate for the provincial ANP. But there are different programs, it keeps on changing. Make sure you read through all of the provinces, all of the programs, or consult your immigration lawyer if you have one, to help you out choose the correct province. And again, guys, as I said, bigger cities, more students, more challenging to get a job. Smaller cities are usually easier to get jobs, but don't go to small cities, because it can be a little bit boring. Bigger cities, more fun to study, but a little bit more challenging to get around, and housing prices are more expensive. For your future references, myself, I moved to Calgary. They think it's a big city here. I think it's a big city, but not as big as Toronto. But now I think Calgary is a bigger city, and Toronto is just a crazy big city. And yeah, I'm probably not going back, at least in the nearest future, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to smash the like button if you think this video was helpful for you guys, and of course subscribe to see more videos on this channel. We'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.